So finally getting around to cleaning this guy up, and I've done some playing on this guitar, and I must tell you, it might be the fact, okay, so of the three flying V's that I've had here, and the ones that I've played, and I liked the HP, and I thought it was cool, and it was a nice guitar, and I'm not going to say anything bad about that particular generation of those guitars, because it felt good. And the 70s Flying V, that it was nice, but it was, I don't know, I just didn't bond with it. But this guitar, I don't know if it's the 67 specs, I don't know if it's something else about this guitar, but something, like I say, could be custom shop, could be the specs of a 67 versus the other, years. I don't have a good answer for that, because I don't know enough about Flying V's to tell you, yeah, this is definitely why I'm in love with this guitar. But this guitar is so much easier to really enjoy than the HP was. And the HP had Flying V HP had Dirty Fingers as well. So I don't know why this particular Flying V is so much easier to enjoy than the HP was. But there's something about this guitar that makes it different, and I don't know, it just plays different, it feels different. Like I said, could be the neck. I certainly don't feel like that. I think the HP actually had a thinner neck, but the overall setup on this guitar is something that I'm a fan of. I don't, like I said, I don't have a good answer for why. I just feel like this guitar is a better feeling guitar. And like I say, could be custom shop, could be anything, I guess. I mean, realistically, could just be the cut of the wood, or like I say, something. But no matter how you look at it, this guitar is easy to love and really easy to play, and I have fallen in love with it, and I'm a huge fan. So, at the end of the day, I feel like I'm going to really enjoy having this one around, and I'm looking forward to, I've got some pictures of it next to the Classic that's black and white, as well as the Explorer that's black and white. And it just fits in perfectly with those two. I've also got a custom that, a Les Paul custom that's black and white. But so maybe try to get all four of those together at some point. But as of right now, it hasn't happened. But like I say, this guitar, and it's weird that these are exactly in a row, right? They're all basically, those pole pieces are all basically right in a row. And I can't get the camera to focus in on it to really get you a good vision of it. But the camera, there it is. So they're basically all in a straight line. And with that in mind, it's interesting that they are so evenly balanced, even at being flat. And I don't, like I say, I've never experienced that either, because I've always had staggered pole pieces. So it's interesting that this guitar by itself, just the way it's set up right now, has a great sound to it. And I may fine tune it at some point down the road, but as of right now, I have no intention of doing anything other than just enjoying it the way it is. But like I say, fretboard definitely needs to be conditioned. So that's on our priority list for today. And then I'm going to do a little bit of cleanup on this, because it's got some scratches on it that I want to see if I can get out. But overall, starting off the day with taking it off and seeing what's underneath here and figuring out what exactly is under the hood of this thing. Stick around. Back again with the first layer of conditioning on the fretboard, and it's already looking just drastically different. This was definitely something where this guy had been sitting for a while, and it'd been listed in the demo shop for a while, so I'm sure it sat for a little bit before that too. So overall, it is looking much healthier now, and I'll bet you it's going to be a lot more beautiful once it's finished. But like I say, so next step is getting that pick guard off and seeing what's underneath there. All right, so moment of truth. Trying to find out what's underneath here and how it's wired. A little bit stiff there. Oh, leads are not very long. All right, so Gibson branded pots with standard small capacitors, little tiny capacitors. So nothing really revolutionary, but also means that it's more like a Gibson USA product than it is a custom or custom of any sort. I don't know. Maybe those small capacitor is a standard feature from the 1967. That might be era specific. There is a lot of dust down in there that is from I presume the polishing compound. But it is interesting to note that the grounding wire is really prevalent and everything in there. So it is not something never really looked underneath the hood of one of these before. So I don't really know. Like I say, I would presume that the Gibson branded pots though would be more, I don't know, maybe custom shop for this era. But like I say, it's certainly a different appearance than I was expecting. Like I said, I was kind of thinking I was going to have a bigger capacitor, but it certainly does the trick. So after the cleaner, this one has already started to take on a lot. Now, I used a separate cloth to go ahead and wipe off all of the dust, though I left the dust in the cavity because it's just kind of a fun little thing to have, because it's a throwback to the way it was built by Gibson. So again, now it's time to put some, even though we've got the actual cleaner on there, now it's time to polish it up. So one of the things they talked about with this guitar, and probably what made it wind up in the demo shop, was the fact that it had some inconsistent scratches. And I don't know if I'm going to be able to see, but there are some scratches on this guitar that, so like I say, this particular guitar has some scratches on it, but most of them came out. And like I say, you can look right there and you can see that there's very little of those scratches left. So a good polishing took most of it out. So anyway, just as a heads up, that is the, like I say, that's what it looks like after some good polishing job. And the fretboard is sinking in quite well. So give it a little bit longer to dry, then do a wipe off, and it'll be time to string it back up. So as someone who is used to working on Les Pauls, right? It's not very often that I work on anything else. And the fenders are even a little bit different than this is. So it's weird to have all the controls and everything on something that you just pick up. Like, this is very Fender, right? Like, this is how all Fenders and, Stratocasters and Telecasters are. But I'm not used to doing it on a Gibson. And so it was a little bit of a learning curve to get in and get all this around here cleaned up and everything like that. But overall, it's come back together pretty good. And like I say, the body has turned out really pretty. There's some, like I say, some inconsistencies in the finish a little bit, but nothing so drastic that you would think, oh, this is terrible. Certainly not something that I would think of as anything I would sneeze at. But anyway, bottom line is it's looking good. Fretboard looks conditioned and is feeling very nice now. Looking forward to getting the strings back on this one and doing some playing. And now, finished product. Looks good. Not quite tuned all the way up, but just moments away from a little playing and a little comparison as a bonus ending to this video. So nothing really big, just a quick little sample. So off I go. All right, so back in tune, and I'm happy to say it feels just exactly like you think it should. And I'm pretty stoked about that, though I like it dialed back a little bit. So, but what I was promising you was, in the bridge we have a Dirty Fingers pickup. Turned up to 10. So, the question I have is, how does that sound compared to a equally wired, but not quite as noisily amped DC high gain on the Adam Jones, which I coincidentally just happen to have right here. So, everything turned to 10, bridge position only. So, I don't know, the DC high gain actually has a little bit smoother tone to it. Let's put that next to that Dirty Fingers. You know, it's kind of weird getting used to holding a Flying V again. I don't know. So the DC high gain doesn't really seem to push it any harder, and the Dirty Fingers doesn't really seem to be any. They're very similar pickups, and I mean their outputs are very similar too. So. What do you guys think? Which one would you choose on a pickup? Would you choose the DC high gain? If you were building your own custom guitar, would you choose the DC high gain, or would you choose the Dirty Fingers? That is the question. Well, like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you would do if you had the choice. Till next time, enjoy.